You know that feeling when you start to sense that he's slipping away? He's still there, still texting, still showing up, but something in his energy has changed. Maybe he's less attentive, less eager, less emotionally invested than before, and you start to feel that familiar panic, the one that whispers, "What did I do wrong?" I've been there. Every woman who's ever loved deeply has been there. And it's not about chasing him or manipulating his attention. It's about understanding one of the deepest truths about attraction. A man doesn't fall in love because you convince him to. He falls in love because your presence awakens something inside him that he can't find anywhere else. This is about energy, your feminine energy, the quiet magnetic power that draws him in, not because you're performing for his approval, but because you're anchored in your own worth. When you truly understand that, you stop trying to get him to want you, and instead, you become the kind of woman he simply can't stop wanting. So before we go any further, take a breath. Relax your shoulders. This is not about playing games or being perfect. It's about remembering who you are. That radiant, powerful, deeply feminine woman who doesn't chase, doesn't beg, and doesn't shrink to fit inside anyone's comfort zone. If you're new here, make sure you subscribe, because every week we talk about exactly this: how to embody your worth, elevate your standards, and reconnect with your power as a woman. But for now, stay with me. I want you to hear this fully, not with your mind, but with your heart. Because when you integrate what I'm about to share, you will never again wonder how to make a man want you. You'll know, not from ego, but from embodied confidence, that you are the woman he can't forget. 1. Be the calm in his chaos. Let's get real. Men are not drawn to chaos. They're drawn to peace. But not the quiet, submissive kind of peace that comes from suppressing your needs. The kind of peace that radiates from a woman who knows who she is. Think about it. The world constantly demands men to perform, to be providers, protectors, leaders. Most of them live in a mental storm of pressure, competition, and responsibility. And then they meet you. A woman who doesn't add to the noise, but instead exudes something entirely different. Composure, warmth, grounded confidence. That's what makes you unforgettable. This doesn't mean you never get emotional or that you pretend to be detached. It means you cultivate emotional stability. You know how to express your feelings without losing yourself in them. You set boundaries with grace. You can hold tension without breaking. That's what I call feminine strength. Not loud, not forceful, but unshakable. It's Beyoncé's quiet dominance in the middle of a storm. It's Michelle Obama's poise when the world tries to test her dignity. It's Daenerys Targaryen before the dragons, when she was still learning to walk through fire without being burned. When you're that kind of woman, you don't need to chase a man's attention, because your energy gives him something he doesn't get anywhere else. Peace with depth. Let me ask you this. When you're around a man you like, do you bring calm or confusion? Do you center yourself before responding, or do you react from fear and insecurity? Because your energy teaches him how to treat you. When you embody calm confidence, he subconsciously feels safe in your presence. He relaxes. And when a man relaxes with a woman, he bonds with her. It's biology, it's psychology, and it's spiritual all at once. But here's the twist. You can't fake calm. You cultivate it through self-worth. You develop it when you stop trying to prove your value and start honoring it. You become peaceful when you know that even if he leaves, you're still whole. You're still enough. There's a saying I love. A woman's silence speaks volumes when it's rooted in self-respect. You don't have to explain yourself to be understood. You don't have to argue to be right. Your calm is not weakness. It's control. It's the power that makes a man think, I don't ever want to lose her energy. So the next time you feel triggered, when he's distant or unresponsive or inconsistent, take a breath before you react. Ask yourself, what would my highest self do right now? That single moment of awareness is how you shift from needy to magnetic. When you master calm, you stop chasing validation and start commanding attention effortlessly. 2. Stay a mystery. He wants to understand. Here's something few women are taught. Mystery is not about hiding parts of yourself. It's about not rushing to give everything away. We live in a world that romanticizes oversharing. We post every thought, every feeling, every heartbreak online. We explain ourselves too soon, hoping he'll see our depth. But the truth is, emotional mystery isn't manipulation, it's mastery. Think about your favorite movie heroine, the one who makes you lean in, wondering what she's thinking. It's not because she's fake. It's because she doesn't need to fill every silence. She knows that curiosity builds connection. When you meet a man, you don't owe him your full story on day one. You don't owe him your pain, your past, your deepest fears. That's not vulnerability, that's overexposure. Vulnerability is sacred, something you earn the right to share with someone who's proven he can hold it. Mystery isn't about playing hard to get. It's about knowing you're already worth getting. It's allowing him to discover you, layer by layer, instead of dumping everything at once. You see, men are natural problem solvers. They crave discovery. And when a woman leaves emotional and intellectual space for that, he becomes invested. He starts wondering about her thoughts, her feelings, her world. That curiosity becomes attraction. But when you reveal too much too soon, when you hand him the map before he's earned the adventure, you rob him of the chance to seek you. And seeking is what creates desire. Mystery also applies to how you carry yourself. It's in your pauses. The way you make eye contact and then look away. The way you listen more than you speak. The way you leave him wanting to know what's behind that calm smile. There's an art to being open yet reserved. Warm but not eager. Feminine energy invites but doesn't chase. It allows but doesn't over-explain. Ask yourself, are you allowing space for curiosity? Or are you trying to fill every gap with reassurance? Because sometimes the silence you're afraid of is where attraction actually grows. When you master mystery, you're not withholding, you're protecting your energy. You're saying, not everyone gets access to all of me. And that boundary makes you magnetic. Even in the modern world, where vulnerability is often confused with instant openness, true feminine confidence knows the difference. Vulnerability is an offering, not a transaction. It's something shared with discernment, not desperation. You want to make him want you more? Don't rush to prove your worth. Let him earn the right to see the parts of you that are sacred. Because when a man realizes that not everyone gets to experience your full depth, he will value it more deeply when he does. The queen archetype understands this. She doesn't explain her value, she embodies it. Her energy says, you can approach, but not everyone is chosen. That's not arrogance. That's self-respect wrapped in grace. And when you live from that space, something beautiful happens. You stop wondering if you're enough for him, and he starts wondering if he's enough for you. 3. Stop matching his energy, lead with your own. I know how tempting it is to mirror his behavior when he pulls away. He texts less, so you text less. He seems distant, so you act unbothered. You play it cool, hoping he'll notice your absence and come running back. But here's the problem. When you start matching his energy, you're letting him dictate your emotional temperature. You're reacting instead of radiating. That's not power, that's survival. Feminine power doesn't mirror, it magnetizes. A high-value woman doesn't shift based on someone else's inconsistency. She stays rooted in who she is. Her energy leads. When a man senses that your vibe is dependent on his behavior, he subconsciously stops seeing you as an equal and starts seeing you as a reflection of his own moods. That's not attraction, that's emotional dependency. Think of women like Rihanna or Zendaya, women who move with their own rhythm, who don't shrink or dim based on anyone's approval. They lead with their energy. They don't chase alignment, they create it. In dating, that looks like this. If he's distant, you don't spiral. You redirect your focus to your own life, your goals, your peace, your glow. You stay gracious but detached. You don't send cold or manipulative texts. You stay in your warmth and self-respect. Men feel that. They notice when your world doesn't collapse just because their attention shifted. That's when the pull begins. Because now he's not dealing with a reactive woman. He's encountering a grounded one. There's something profoundly magnetic about a woman who stays emotionally stable no matter what a man does. It's not detachment, it's discernment. It's knowing you can love deeply without losing your center. Ask yourself, how often do you give your power away by matching his energy instead of maintaining your own? Every time you dim your light to protect your ego, you weaken your feminine influence. But every time you choose authenticity over reaction, you rise. This is the secret. You don't make him want you more by withdrawing, you make him want you more by staying in your truth. When your energy says, I am still whole with or without you, you become unforgettable. 4. Embody high standards without apology. Let's talk about standards, because this is where so many women compromise in the name of understanding. You start out knowing what you want: consistency, respect, effort, emotional presence. But somewhere along the line, when you like him, you start making excuses. He's just busy. He's been hurt before. He's not great at texting. You rationalize behaviors that don't align with your standards because you're afraid of losing him. But here's the truth. Every time you lower your standard, you train him to meet you there. High standards don't scare emotionally mature men. They filter out the ones who were never ready for you. When a man truly values you, your standards don't intimidate him. They inspire him. Because your expectations show him that you see yourself as someone worth showing up for. Think of women like Michelle Obama, women who expect excellence because they embody it. She didn't settle for less than partnership. She invited someone who could match her purpose. That's the difference between waiting for love and choosing it consciously. Now, high standards don't mean being demanding or entitled. It's about alignment, not arrogance. It's saying, this is how I deserve to be treated, and holding that line with grace. It's not about ultimatums. It's about consistency in how you carry yourself, how you respond, and how you choose. You teach people how to treat you by the energy you accept. If you allow inconsistency, they'll give you inconsistency. If you accept crumbs, they'll stop offering the full meal. High standards protect your peace. They remind you that you are not desperate for attention, you are discerning with access. Here's a reflective question for you. What's one area in your relationships where you've been accepting less than you deserve? And why? Sometimes the hardest truth to face is that the love we want is waiting for us on the other side of our boundaries. And when you start embodying your standards unapologetically, something incredible happens. You stop chasing compatibility and start attracting it. You stop asking, will he like me? And start asking, does this align with who I am? That shift changes everything, because now you're not performing for love, you're selecting it. 5. Connect through emotion, not control. One of the most magnetic feminine traits is emotional intelligence, the ability to express your feelings without trying to control the outcome. You see, a lot of women mistake control for connection. They think, if I explain enough, if I convince him, if I make him see my worth, then he'll stay. But love doesn't grow in pressure. It grows in space. Emotional power isn't about demanding understanding. It's about communicating truthfully and then letting go. When you express your feelings with ownership, I feel hurt when, instead of you made me feel, you invite intimacy without blame. That's emotional maturity. And men, real men, are deeply drawn to it, even if they don't always know how to articulate why. Because your emotional grace reminds him of safety, not the kind that suffocates, but the kind that grounds. Control says, I don't trust. Emotion says, I care. The difference is energy. One repels, the other invites. It's okay to want reassurance. It's okay to express that you value connection. But the energy behind your words matters more than the words themselves. Do you speak from fear or from self-worth? From desperation or from desire? When you communicate from love rather than control, you allow him to choose you freely. And that freedom is what creates genuine attraction. Remember, a man doesn't bond with a woman who needs to control him. He bonds with a woman who inspires him to show up. Women like Alicia Keys, for example, they embody that softness without surrendering their dignity. They're open but not obsessive, emotional but not erratic. That's the balance of powerful femininity. Receptive, not reactive. When you stay emotionally open while remaining grounded in your boundaries, you send the message, I can handle truth. I can handle honesty. I don't need control to feel secure. That's rare. And rarity creates desire. So ask yourself, are you trying to connect or to control? Are you expressing your truth because it's authentic or because you hope it'll change his behavior? The woman who can tell the difference between the two is the woman who masters emotional attraction. When you operate from emotional grace, you stop pushing for love and start receiving it naturally. 6. Be willing to walk away. Let's talk about one of the hardest yet most powerful acts of feminine strength, the ability to walk away. Not out of anger, but out of alignment. When a man senses that you can leave without drama, without bitterness, and without begging for closure, you instantly stand out. Because most people cling. They hold on even when the connection is already slipping, hoping that a little more effort will fix what's already broken. But when you're a woman who can walk away gracefully, your energy says something profound. I choose peace over potential. You're not walking away to prove a point. You're walking away because you understand that you are the point. And here's the secret. Nothing makes a man more aware of your value than realizing that he can lose your presence. This isn't about manipulation, it's about maturity. It's about showing through action that you won't beg someone to meet you where they should have already stood. The women who truly captivate men don't chase closure. They create it within themselves. They don't need to explain their worth to be respected. They know that walking away from anything misaligned is the highest form of self-love. Think of it this way. Cleopatra didn't beg for loyalty. She expected it. Because she understood her energy was a privilege, not a guarantee. When you reach that level of inner strength, you stop asking, what can I do to make him stay? And start asking, does this relationship reflect the love I deserve? If the answer is no, you release. Not with resentment, but with reverence for the woman you've become. That's real power. And ironically, that's often the moment he wakes up. Because the same woman he took for granted becomes the woman he can't stop thinking about. Not because she punished him, but because she didn't. Because she left with dignity, not destruction. There's something hauntingly beautiful about quiet confidence, the kind that doesn't need to announce its absence. So let me ask you something deeply honest. Are you holding on to someone who already showed you he can't meet you where you stand? Are you confusing potential with partnership? Sometimes the thing that keeps us stuck isn't love. It's the fear of what happens after we let go. But once you realize that peace feels better than proving yourself, you stop chasing what was never meant for you. A woman who can walk away doesn't just command respect. She earns it because she respects herself first. And when you reach that point, you become magnetic in a way that no words, no strategy, and no effort can replicate. Because now, you're not trying to make him want you, you're making yourself impossible to forget. 7. Radiate in your purpose. There's something profoundly irresistible about a woman who is fulfilled by her own life. A woman whose joy doesn't depend on who texts her back. A woman who has passions, goals, and dreams that have nothing to do with romantic validation. That energy is magnetic. Not because she's independent to the point of isolation, but because she's alive in her purpose. Men are drawn to women who have something sacred burning inside them. A vision, a mission, a source of fulfillment that existed long before him and will exist long after. Because purpose is power, it gives you depth. It gives you glow. When you're aligned with what lights you up, whether that's building a business, creating art, raising a family, mentoring others, or simply living in joy, your entire frequency changes. You stop trying to be chosen and start becoming the chooser. That's the energy of women like Oprah, Serena Williams, Beyoncé, women who embody the queen archetype because they rule their own world first. Their relationships are extensions of their purpose, not replacements for it. And that's what makes them unforgettable. When you have purpose, you stop settling for half love. You stop attaching your worth to whether someone sees your value. because you see it. You stop obsessing over how to make him want you more, because your life already has meaning without his validation. The irony, that's when men want you most. Because now you're not seeking attention, you're radiating alignment. You're living from overflow, not emptiness. Purpose makes you magnetic because it grounds you in self-respect. It reminds you that your time, your energy, your body, and your love are sacred. Not everyone deserves access. So ask yourself, what makes you feel alive, inspired, powerful? When was the last time you pursued something purely for you? Not for approval, not for validation, but for passion? Because when you do, your energy transforms. You become luminous. And when you're luminous, people, especially men, can't help but be drawn to you. Not because you're chasing them, but because you're walking in your light. Here's the truth that every powerful woman eventually learns. When you chase purpose, love finds you differently. It's calmer, it's deeper, it's no longer about filling a void, it's about sharing abundance. And that's the kind of love that lasts. The kind that doesn't fade when life gets hard, because it's built on two whole people choosing each other, not two halves searching for completion. Now take a moment to breathe. You've made it through all 7 truths, each one a reflection of your feminine power, your worth, and your grace. You've learned that to make him want you more isn't about manipulation or games. It's about mastery. Mastering your calm, your mystery, your standards, your emotional power, your willingness to walk away, and your alignment with your purpose. You've remembered what it means to be magnetic, not by force, but by flow. And maybe right now, you feel that shift happening inside you. That quiet confidence that says, I don't have to chase, I attract. There's a woman inside you, strong, radiant, and whole, who never needed to beg for love. She only needed to remember who she was before the world told her to shrink. When you rise into that version of yourself, you stop asking how to make him want you more, because you finally understand the more you want yourself, your peace, your growth, your purpose, the more everything you desire naturally aligns around you. That's the real secret, not to become more for him, but to return home to you. So if this resonated with you, make sure to subscribe. Because this space is for women who are done shrinking, done settling, and ready to rise. I'll see you in the next one, beautiful. Keep shining, keep choosing yourself, and remember, the woman who knows her worth never has to chase love. She simply becomes it.